Hello everyone, and welcome to Devlog number... Oh, what's that, little buddy? You wish you could build things? You want seasons? The NPCs to be less stupid? And you want to shave? Oh, save. Well, not to fear, it's already been done. The first thing I did this month was prototype an indoor area. I drew up some walls, some little floor tiles, and threw it all into the game. I made this little potion shop building that I'll animate someday, and made it so when you walk up to the door, it loads the interior area. I noticed pretty quickly that this interior area was still subjected to the same day and night cycle effects as outside, and unless there's a giant hole in the roof, it doesn't make much sense to have an indoor sunset. So I made it so you can flag a zone as interior or exterior, and that will control whether the environment goes light or dark as the sun moves. I then decided it was time to allow the player to place things. If this game is to eventually have farming, building, and customizing a house, the player needs to be able to place and remove stuff. This unfortunately reveals a deeper problem that I had previously been avoiding: saving. Say I make it so we can place a building. If we leave the scene and come back, the scene will reload from scratch, and the building will be gone. We can see this when I chop a tree. If I chop down this tree and walk away, when I come back, the tree is reloaded, because that's how it is in the original file. So I need a script that goes through and takes note of every destroyable thing in the scene, then saves them to a file. When we leave and come back, the script should compare all the destroyable things in the scene with what's on the checklist. If anything needs to be added, it'll add it. If anything needs to be removed, it'll remove it. Kind of annoying, but I eventually got it working. The script keeps track of everything that should be there, so if I chop down a tree, leave, and come back, the tree will remain gone. This is great, but if I close out the game and come back, then that script gets restarted from scratch too and forgets everything. We need to be able to save to a file on the player's computer and pull the list from it. In order to save time, I used an old asset I bought ages ago, before it was so pricey, called Easy Save. It does a lot of fancy saving stuff, but I just use it to store some basic data. I could probably create my own saving script, but I'm trying to save as much time as possible and like to leave this stuff to assets if I can. Why bother encrypting my own binary files when I could just download something that does it for me? I made it so at the start of the game, it loads whatever data is saved, if any, so we can have some permanence to the game. This is huge and lets me implement placing buildings as well. I made a placeable item where if you hold it, it highlights the floor in front of you and decides if you can place there or not by looking at the grid and movement manager to see if any characters or objects are already there. If it's all clear, you can hit the submit button and place down the building. The building then adds itself to the list of scenes, and you can enter it to go into that scene. I think in the future, the placeable building will start out as a construction zone and slowly be built up into a full building so you don't just have a whole building appear in one instant. I will also draw a new icon for it since right now I'm borrowing the icon for the sword. It could also use some fancy effects, but I'm avoiding doing all that until I have more of my core mechanics down. Why should I add a little dust poof upon placement when I don't even have a main menu yet? I think it's important to nail down all the rest of the game before I focus on tiny details like that. Moving on, saving continued to open all sorts of doors for what I can do, and led me to... You again. What is it this time? Well, if they wanted to like and subscribe, they would have done it already. We wouldn't need to tell them. No, I haven't told them about the Discord yet. I was gonna do that later. Okay, fine. I'll tell them. Apparently there's been some excitement to get a Discord going, so I assembled a finely crafted server. Link is in the description below. It's officially alive now. There are lots of voice and text channels where people can chat about the game or whatever else. If I'm ever bored, I'll probably hang out in the stream room to stream some pixel art or play some games in one of the game channels to chat with people. It'll probably become the best way to get in contact with me if you have any questions or suggestions, so if you're the kind of person who likes to be in 500 Discord servers, this is another place for your collection. Right now it's pretty barren since only some of my buddies have joined, but now that I've officially announced it on here, I'm hoping it'll gain some traction. While we're at it, I'll shamelessly plug the old Steam page. Wishlisting things helps developers a lot, so mosey on over to Steam if you think this game is something you'd like to play. You'd get notified about releases or sales, so it's a good way to stay in the loop without watching every devlog video. But back to the fun stuff. Now that we have saving down, I was able to allow my NPCs to become less stupid. The problem was that I previously made the NPC kinda guess where they need to be at any given time. Since the only area that's ever present is the current scene, their pathfinding didn't know how far away the goal could be. It knew that it was, say, 3 scenes away, but they have no idea how long it would take to travel through each one. Is it a small little room or a big one? Will there be lots of wasteful side-to-side movement, or is it a straight shot? They didn't know. This resulted in them leaving way too early or way too late and not arriving on time. This was less of an issue when 2 scenes were involved, but now that their paths are getting bigger, it's becoming more apparent. It's honestly very silly of me to not have foreseen this as a bigger issue. To fix this, I made it so that with the power of saving, we keep a map of every single zone. This was tricky since we can only map out a scene we've been in before. If a room has never ever been loaded in the game, how can we map it? I decided I myself would need to map it and save it to a file within the game's project files. I made a script where I can click a button to load the scene even when the game's not playing, record its layout, and save it to a permanent file. Then when the game actually starts and an NPC is looking for a path, it can use my pre-saved maps. Then if they ever change up a scene, it'll save over my old files. I got this to work, and with some major tweaking to the NPC manager script, the NPCs are now perfectly punctual. If I wait here, this NPC will stroll in at exactly 10 o'clock without any delay. The best part is, I also actually implemented a delay feature. If I harass the poor NPC by blocking their path, then rush over to the destination, they'll actually be delayed by the same amount of time that I was blocking them. I'm very happy with how this turned out. It's nice to finally see some intelligence around here. This led to my next feature. I wanted the NPC schedules to be able to change based on what events have occurred. If a volcano erupts, maybe their path to the store on Monday morning is blocked, and they hunt in the woods instead. Or if the player fixes a bridge, maybe they'll go stargazing at midnight on Thursdays instead of sitting at home. So I implemented an important events system, where any script can tell the important events manager that an event has been completed. The scheduler can then look at the schedule for any override meetings, and if the override conditions have been met, it will place that meeting instead of whatever meeting was previously there. To test it, I made my building placement script add a building placed event. If this event is active, then the NPC will go to that building at 10 AM instead of the cave on Tuesdays. We can see it in action here. She leaves the house, heads over to the other building that we placed, and sits in the building instead of going to the cave. This adds a ton of options and makes the NPCs feel more alive than ever before. And speaking of things being more alive, I've been itching to add some seasons. I made posts on Reddit and Instagram getting some nice feedback about how little sense it makes for my trees to fade and then not lose their leaves. So I've since made some better concept art and fully implemented it. Here's the result as I cycle through the seasons. You may have also noticed just looking at the video, I also added in a third little layer of background stuff. Previously I had a first background layer for the dirt, a second background layer for the grass, and I've added a third background layer for the random fluff like flowers and such. I think it makes it feel a bit more alive and adds some of the much needed pizzazz. They're placed procedurally based on purlin noise with a specific seed, so I can basically randomize them without them changing every time you walk in. Kinda like how you can punch in a Minecraft seed on multiple devices and the procedurally generated world will look exactly the same in both of them. And that, everyone, is this month's work. According to my hour log, it was just over 100 hours of work to get all that stuff in, so about 3 hours each day after getting home from work. I've been having more and more fun with it as time goes on, and it gets harder and harder to put it down. I've never made it this far with any previous game attempts, and I know for sure I can make it to the end with this one. But it's now time for super fun outro plugs. Make sure to leave a like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, catch a fish, sacrifice a goat, whatever else. And don't forget to check out the new Discord and Steam page to get more involved and stay updated. Thanks for watching.